Hi everyone, this is Namu. I'm here in Seoul, Korea. I moved here about a month and a half ago from New York City, and a few days ago I decided to get back on raw food, and so far I feel great. Today is day 4, and well, I just got back from the grocery store and I wanted to share my experiences with you because when I looked online I couldn't find any information about eating raw here in Korea. So, the first thing that I learned about maintaining an 80-10-10 lifestyle in Korea is that produce can be extremely expensive, like $4 to $5 for a single peach, which was so shocking to me. But luckily, I decided to go out one day and started chatting up a bunch of random ajummas, which is just like the Korean word for like a mom type lady, in the street, and a few of them pointed me towards a grocery store that's relatively cheaper in my area. And when I got to the grocery store, I realized that the riper the fruit is, the cheaper it is in Korea, because the country is recently making huge efforts to reduce food waste. So, for example, there's composting is legally mandated for everyone. You have to put out your food garbage in a special bin, and all sorts of efforts to reduce food waste. So they really don't throw out overly ripe fruit, which is amazing because in New York, all you can get are, bananas that are perfectly yellow and perfectly uniform and not bruised, which actually isn't the best for your body. Like with almost anything else, I think fruit needs to be a little bit ugly in order to be truly beautiful. So bruised bananas, bruised peaches, squishy ripe fruit. That's what we should be going for. But in New York, again, people are really into pesticides and herbicides and preservatives and all these things that make food that's really uniform in color and texture, but it's not actually what nature intended us for us to eat. So, back to Korea. Ripe fruit is readily available here. I can just go to the store and pick up a bunch of really ripe bananas like here. Whereas in New York, I would have to buy bananas that were mostly yellow with a little bit of green at the tops, and then I would have to wait for almost a week while they sat on my kitchen counter waiting for them to ripen up. And then, in order to stay raw, I would have to buy fruit, especially bananas. I would have to stagger and really carefully plan how I staggered my grocery shopping trips so that I would always have fruit that ripened in time for me to eat it. But here in Korea, you can just pick up ripe fruit and it's severely discounted, like so much cheaper. For example, bananas. For about one or two bananas, it's usually about 1,000 won, which comes out to 90 cents. And because these bananas aren't like yellow and hard and they're nice and spotty and ready to eat, this is 2,001 for all of these bananas. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 bananas for about $1.80. So I got a ton of these today, and I recently started freezing my bananas to make them into my smoothies. I have to tell you, when I first did raw back in March, 80-10-10 specifically, I was really into, like juicing and making smoothies is unnatural, just like cooking. So I'm gonna try to stick to just eating raw fruit. But because I've lived 22 years of my life eating really calorie dense cooked foods, I just wasn't used to the feeling of my stomach expanding so much. And I would get to a point in the day when my mouth was tired of chewing and my belly was full and I felt like I really literally absolutely could not eat another bite, but I felt very weak and tired because I knew I hadn't gotten enough calories. And I saw these YouTube videos of like Freely the Banana Girl making smoothies with just bananas, or some other people making smoothies with like bananas and water, bananas and greens, and I was like, that looks horrible. Like, I don't even want to try that. And then one day this summer, I just tried it, and it was so delicious. And I tried to make frozen banana smoothies at that time, but my blender was really shitty. But I have a much better blender now. I have the lid here with the blenders in the kitchen. Um, and I made frozen bananas into banana ice cream yesterday, and it was so good. So I'm gonna start peeling my really ripe bananas and having them in the freezer so I don't run out of food. Because obviously, when I run out of food, that's when I'm most likely to be tempted to eat cooked foods again. So, bananas. Every single one of these bunches was labeled at 2001. So for $1.80, I got this bunch. These bananas are significantly bigger than the other two that I showed you, and it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 really big, perfectly ripe bananas for $1.80. I'm so excited. And then next I got kiwis, which in New York they were about 3 for $2 most of the time. And this time I got 4 for 1,981. So that's like 4 for like $1.75 estimate. So they're still pretty expensive, so I only got 4, but I wanted to have more variety. And they had a really great variety of fruit. I think mostly shipped from the Philippines and other tropical countries that are nearby Korea. But for now, because I'm still in week 1 of this new lifestyle transition, I'm focusing on bananas because they're relatively calorie dense. Like, for example, today I ate 4 cucumbers. They were like this big, and I put them into Chronometer, and it only came out to like 150 calories for all of them. Whereas a banana is 100 calories. So again, like eating high volume fruits and trying to get enough calories in, bananas are a great way to start because they're relatively dense. So more bananas, last bunch of bananas. And oh no, another bunch. I had a lot of bananas. And then I have these clementines. I actually don't know what the difference is between clementines and tangerines, but usually these are also like really expensive. This package would probably be like 10 or 15 US dollars in most grocery stores, but for some reason these guys have it for less than $3.50. So I got 2 of these and another bunch of bananas. And then I got a sack of apples. This is 10 apples for about $4.50. In Korean, that's 4,981. And then greens. They have this section of greens, and they always have some kind of greens on sale, and you put it in the bag yourself, and they wait for you. So this amount of like bok choy and a Korean herb called suk, which I know is really good for you. I have these books about Korean like naturally growing medicinal plants and the teas that you can make with them. I got these books here for about $1 each, so I'm going to be looking this up to find the English word for suk, but I got these. So this is probably like, this is 700 grams. No, this is 878 grams. So that's like a little bit, that's between a pound and 2 pounds. So this should last me about a day or two. I'm trying to eat more greens here, so I'm gonna have to go back for more greens. But this is clearly the most expensive thing that I got today. 6,000 won, which is about like $6, $5. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get over this hump of feeling like I'm spending too much money just because everything else is so cheap. And I'll have to go back to get more greens. And then, the thing that I was most excited about today, the persimmons here are so amazing. I grew up eating persimmon all the time. We had a persimmon tree in my backyard when I was living in Korea as a small child, but I found it really hard to find good persimmon in New York City. In fact, I've never had a good persimmon in New York City. I've had persimmon once, and they weren't ripe, and they weren't good. And I got these ooey gooey persimmon. Usually in Korea, they are very expensive, like probably 1 or 2 would come out to about a US dollar. But because these are so ripe and just bursting with sugar, like when persimmon are really ripe, like you get in Korea, it's like you get this like grainy, sugary texture. It literally just feels like you're eating candy. And they're so good when you blend them up. I'm going to try to blend it up with some edible raw pumpkin and banana and cinnamon and try to make like a pumpkin spice latte vegan version. But anyway, so all of these, which usually like 2 of these would cost $1, this whole thing came out again to $1.80. And there's like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's like at least 12 in here. So $1.80. Like, oh. So yeah, I spent about almost exactly 30 US dollars today shopping. And that's definitely the most food at the cheapest price that I've gotten. This should last me a good couple of days, and then I'll go back. Maybe I'll get more next time, because today they packed my groceries in this big box, and I was like trying to lift it to see how heavy it was, because in New York it's like you buy a ton of groceries, and I mean, people joke all the time about, oh, like my mom from out of town is visiting with her car, so I'm gonna go buy like actual groceries, because if you can't carry it home, and if you can't carry it up like your 4-story walk up, 5-story walk up, then you're not gonna eat your groceries. So you people really have to think about like, oh, like today is my day to buy gallons of milk for people who aren't vegan and things. So that's what I'm used to. And the stores don't really like care at all. They just like let you go, and like I would always be like struggling. I lived in a 4-story walk up. I actually bought a wagon just to buy watermelon this summer from Costco, which is like cheaper in Harlem. Anyway, um and then I signed up for a little membership with the store, which was free for discounts. And they were like, they showed me the receipt, and they're like, is this your address? And I was like, uh-huh. And I came home, and I wasn't sure if I wrote a fake address when I signed up, so I was like about to look up my address because I don't have it memorized yet. And before I could even look up my address, I got a knock on the door, and the guy delivered it for free. This box, he carried it right to my door, put it in my kitchen, and tips are not culturally a thing in Korea, so it was just completely free. So yeah, definitely gonna be getting more fruit next time. Definitely really excited that I feel like I got my first really good shopping trip today, so far, having been in Korea, and I just feel elated, being raw again for a few days, and this time I really am planning on being on it like for a while. So, welcome back. Thank you for watching, and if you're in Korea in 80-10-10, hit me up. We should talk. If you're visiting, or if you have any questions about 80-10-10, or about yoga, about eating raw, about traveling, about Korean culture, you can message me. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.